Everyone's talking about AI, but who's actually implementing it? I'm Jenna Ahern, the CEO of Guardian Owl Digital, a search engine marketing firm rooted in integrity and transparency in the digital age. AI and marketing are at a crossroads, and the technology is moving faster than most business leaders can keep up with. That's why we created Go AI, a podcast series where we interview leaders in various industries about all things artificial intelligence. With each guest, my co-host Connor Rafferty and I will explore the applications that this rapidly evolving technology has for business leaders and their industries. Let's go AI. Welcome back to another episode of Go AI, and I am beyond grateful to be sitting with our guest, Todd Krise. This morning, I've known Todd. He's a fellow Pennsylvanian. He was born in Pennsylvania, but I've known him for years in the marketing and agency world. And we have kind of a surprise announcement to talk about on today's podcast. But Todd, tell the audience a little bit about you.
Yes. And no, I love that this is one of my opportunities to come on a podcast, first time on camera and everything, and being it with you, Jenna and Connor. And I've known you longer than I've known a lot of people in Louisville. And,
for better or for worse.
And also the relationship of we played in the same district in high school, sports and everything. So that's really cool. And then just being connected with everything. So I greatly appreciate all your help on that. But yeah, this is another, I would call this is my third major curve or adjustment in my career, where I went into newspapers when I was graduating from college. And that was right when the Great Recession was happening and people were getting laid off. And what was I going to do? I went through interview after interview. And so I went into social media, and then I went into integrated marketing for a collegiate firm, and then the agency life. So I've been doing a lot of stuff over 20 years. And now it's time for me to really go out on my own and do some AI content that makes sense financially for a lot of small businesses and individuals out there.
And that's why I'm so excited. We're so excited to have you on, because it's MercenaryMarketing.ai, which I love. We're Guardian Owl Digital, Mercenary. It fits.
Yeah.
But to your point about helping, your whole goal is serving and helping business owners, solopreneurs utilize all of these tools that are now available to you, and you've tested them. You're very much aware of what's going to work, what's not.
Yeah. And it's being realistic, really. I mean, it's being at a larger agency over the last few years. I've seen enterprise clients leave because they realize they can bring the technology in-house. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a trend that I kind of want to get ahead of. But everything I've seen out there, larger, AI models and other things, it's very focused on the enterprise. And I hope that I can find a niche, especially locally here, whether it's Louisville or Oldham County where I live, that's going to help the small business and it's going to help the solopreneurs not be as scared to enter the market from an AI standpoint.
We always ask this question. First off, you mentioned AI. When did you first hear about AI, and what was your immediate thought?
I thought immediately, I was like, oh, that's going to make me get more conversions. Honestly, it was 2017. I'll never forget this because I've never worked with a international platform.
Okay.
And I was trying to raise donations end of year, just like where we just came from in Q4. I was working with a nonprofit and we were doing a lot of meta advertising and trying to get donations for them. And I found a AI platform that was integrating directly with Meta and Google Ads. It was the first time I ever saw this. And I implemented it. The client was like, yeah, go for it. And it probably gave us maybe 20-30% boost in overall donations online.
And same spending, same investment.
Yeah, same spending.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
And all I had to do was really work with their team on the integration side and make sure everything was tracking. And I was just very pleased with it. So it's been, what is it now?
And that was in 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay.
So my gosh, it's almost been 10 years, my Lord. So yeah, that was my start of it. And ever since then, it's always been, how can I make things a little bit more streamlined at my current job? But then I realized that I could probably be a team of 10, just myself, with, the tools that are out there.
Could you go into some of these kind of tools and their applications for businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite right now, because it's just the simplest to produce. And before I say that, I guess the biggest thing I want people to understand is the AI generated side versus the AI produced side. And since I'm a solopreneur myself, I want to be protected against anything that's AI generated. I think, especially a small business, like you don't know essentially where that content's coming from or where it's being produced from, depending on the platform that you're working with. So I want to be AI produced side of it and I have like 3 or 4 tools that from a video standpoint, whether you have existing assets, I can take those existing assets and turn them into different format videos, or I can just take your brochure really, or your website and turn it into a video. There's a lot of text to script platforms or script to video platforms. And then also my dorkiest thing is just testing out all of the avatar stuff out there. So recording you for 4 minutes and then turning you into an avatar so that I can record and make any video whatsoever. That's been the thing I've been putting out on LinkedIn the most, just to grab a little bit of attention.
Let's lean into this because I've heard, so many stories about avatars, and I'm being told, or again, hearsay, in a few years, you should have an avatar if you want to stay ahead in sales or if you're C-suite level, because there's a lot of meetings maybe you can get out of, but you still need your presence. I mean, that's one utilization of it, but also for other things like video content and demos. And I mean, if you need to film a video at 6 a.m. and you're not ready, you can use your avatar who's fully dressed and with makeup on and ready to go. Selfishly as a female. So can you just tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on avatars now and where are they headed?
It's just been so cool that I've been able to work with a handful of folks who are like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's see how it goes. I think the most beneficial thing is, especially for small teams, you're able to just do a lot of front end work that will allow you to just do what is best for your business. So while you are getting more sales or whatever, I'm front loading or building your YouTube channel with a ton of content, whether it's your face or your avatar out there, or it's your voiceover. And so that's the benefit of it too, is like once you have your avatar, you have your voice, then I'm able to create those videos and then also turn them into podcasts. I've done that for real estate agents where it's just like, oh, that's a video, but then it's also a 2-minute microcast that's on Spotify. So it's a really cool thing to just be able to repurpose all of that stuff. And I guess it kind of throws the advice of don't be everywhere, because that's just going to split up your time and you're not going to be as advantageous with your sales and stuff. But it does allow you to literally be on every platform without having to spend the time and resources to distribute everything yourself. So it's essentially doing that.
So these avatars, obviously there's a lot more control when it is like a YouTube video and you can kind of sign off on it. But what about like in live contexts, like on Zoom meetings, for instance? What are some of the challenges there to ensure that it doesn't, go off onto some weird tangent or just, alienate like a client or prospect?
Oh, that's a great question, because every interactive avatar is what I've seen it as called, so it's not like a recorded script or anything. Everything's in beta. Really.
It's not ready.
It's not ready. It's not ready at all. It's really cool. I mean, I laugh every time I think of an interactive avatar, because my daughter literally woke up at maybe like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. while I was talking to myself.
Okay.
and she's like, Daddy, who are you talking to? I was like, you see Daddy on the screen? I was like, we're just talking,
And that's normal for a 4-year-old. Great. Okay.
So she was weirded out by that process. And it's really funny how people... It's like, I was at a networking meeting and someone was like, what kind of voodoo are you talking about? Or what kind of dark magic and stuff like that? It's like, well, it's just so interesting to me that like you said, like you're going to be sleeping and your personal AI assistant's going to be out there shopping for 5 dresses that you want for this weekend's, party or something.
Or filming video content that I need to film and I don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just crazy how it's just, you're going to be able to give it so many different tasks. And that's why I want to help companies now, so that like I can build their AI assistants now, help them get that foundation so that 5 years from now that they're ready to have those conversations without them and without the customers. So.
And, there's so much fear, right? Anything new, change, there's fear. And it's my understanding from the guests that we've had on the show or just from conversations, if you're diving into it and you're learning and being the practitioner, you aren't going to be replaced by AI. However, it's the people that aren't utilizing it and getting comfortable with the applications that there'll come a crossroads where you might not be as efficient or as valuable as the person's, to your right or left, because their output is 10 times yours because they know how to utilize tools. Can you speak to your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah.
Believe that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Yeah. And that's the one quote. I'm such a nerd with like different quotes and things like
this is an AI podcast, so
yeah.
you have a nerd audience.
Sound bits are appreciated.
Yes.
For the social media.
But yeah, that was the exact quote. I forget who said it or if it's just anonymous or whatever, but it's like, yeah, AI will not take your job. Someone who knows AI better will take your job. And I've had that up on my bulletin board since 2017, I think, or something like that.
Gosh.
So it's always been top of mind. And that's sort of why I kind of went on my own, because I'm like, if I'm part of a larger team and I'm doing one thing for a client, I'm doing another thing for internal efforts, I'm like, I'm getting pulled between. I was like, well, I mean, I can just do a lot myself with the tools that I have, just to show that it's doable, because I know there's going to be a lot of fear. Even internally, and you try to educate things internally with lunch and learns and whatever. It's hard. It's really hard.
And speaking of fear, you took the leap of faith in starting an AI company. And I remember when I launched Guardian Owl Digital, and I mean, I was on edge and super stressed and very scary. And here you are launching this with AI, which I feel like people half the time don't even know what it stands for, right? So explain that journey. Did you was this in 2017? You're like, I'm going to start this company eventually. Was this 3 years ago? How did this come to fruition?
Yeah, it was very late last year. And I worked at a great place before, and it helped me test a lot of different things that I got to implement there at the agency, that benefited me personally. So I just knew that, it was either, do I become more of a leader at the agency, or do I, go out and do my own thing? And I went with the latter part just because I felt like I could help smaller businesses and entrepreneurs differently than at a larger agency. So it's been fun, and I can't wait to get started this year. So it's already been so great. People like you, Jenna, to help me get going. All the networking and coffees that I've had, it's been absolutely fantastic. And a shout out to my wife, Amanda, because she has never given me any doubt or anything with any of this. And even with all this process, she went and got her own job too. And, I'm even on her health insurance now. We're all the kids. It's a team effort to get all this done. And so, she told me that she never had a doubt, when I made this decision to do it. And so that's been the biggest anchor to help all this out. So very grateful for that.
So as you start this journey with this new venture, obviously you're going to need to keep your eyes peeled for pretty much any innovation within AI. And not only that, but just thinking ahead of where AI is going. So where you are right now, what aspects of AI and developments do you think will be the most transformative for you in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's the most terrifying part of this.
Okay.
Because
it's changing so fast.
It is. I was like, I kind of hate every time I get like a Neuron AI newsletter, because I'm like, oh crap, what's new? But they do. But I lean into that newsletter, and I get a couple others. What is it called? The Informant or something. And it's like, some of them are just very like in your face with some of the what is happening with OpenAI and some of the big, larger competitors and things. Like, it's overwhelming from that standpoint. But Neuron does a really good job of saying, like, these are the top 4 things you need to know in AI every morning. And I was like, that's really helpful. That helps me calm down a little bit more. But I think, well, you're talking about starting an SEO agency, several years ago, is like, there's too much information. So you got to lean into what you can maximize or what you can financially make, the most of, or what's going to help people the most.
And that's what I love about and the audience may not know this, but Todd is very business oriented, and, he's passionate about solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small businesses. And so he's very practical with the recommendations and being able to apply certain things in a business where you might be lean staff wise, you aren't tech savvy possibly, and you're not keeping up with all these changes. And from a budget standpoint, there's only, you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to implement AI. So you're coming and bringing these practical tools that, based on all the insights and everything that you're doing, are going to move the needle for these businesses at a cost or investment that it's practical. And that is unique, I think.
Some of like the personal conversations I have is like, I try to give myself a unique standpoint of like, I actually give a damn.
Yes.
When I'm having a conversation with someone or working with someone, because like their pennies are very tight, and just giving them the feeling of like they're my only client and they're able to trust me right out of the get-go, or because that's what I feel like. I feel like I've never lost a client in the past because of my effort. I've always been frustrated because, something else happened or something, So that's kind of like, I don't play well with others in the sandbox, really. I mean, that's just me. And I'd rather just be that guy at school that does the entire project while the group just sits there and watch. Oh no, that's just me, but that's terrible sometimes. It's terrible sometimes. It's like, that's just
you
so
do it, I'll present. Yeah. Just kidding.
Yeah. When my former agency boss was like, you're not going to have any direct reports. It's like, that's probably good.
That's a good idea. Yeah. You're like, I was meant to take this leap of faith. Yeah. Well, and I get it, from in SEO, when we started Guardian Owl, I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, the fact that when this was years ago, you're talking about 2017, when Google inserted their machine learning within the search engine, I remember being like, how am I going to continue to keep up with this? And, you read these things and it scares you, but the actual practicality is it's usually takes several years for things for you to actually see things working. So don't get intimidated by it. You're keeping it out. You're doing just great.
And the field is obviously moving so quickly. I mean, they're trying, I say they as in like Silicon Valley and like the real kind of like open AI type of companies that are really forging ahead with AI innovations. But obviously that leaves like the avatars and live context. It's like in beta testing, there's a lot of stuff that is pretty much in beta testing, even if it's available for us to use. What AI applications would you say are established, dependable, and readily integrable for business owners to where you can say this is pretty far enough ahead in development to where it's pretty trustworthy?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, because that's where I'm trying to let people know is like, I'm being completely transparent. Like, here are the AI tools I'm using. And there are even links on my website. And I think the biggest one that I've just found, I think they're headquartered in China, possibly. But HeyGen, the avatar platform, video platform there, is like, I was highly attracted to them because they had the best lip syncing, voiceovers. I'm actually integrating with their API for a large media company and doing some tests with that. They've done an excellent job of being like the foremost experts of avatars and things out there, but they do an excellent job of translation. I think I put a video out there on LinkedIn late last year of like, I said the same sentence 7 different times, but in 7 different languages. And they did it in 25 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
And that was 2024. This year's just going to be incredible.
I want my avatar to really shine in Italy because I want to know Italian. I don't speak Italian, but I think I can fit into that culture very well. So
well, that's what's going to happen with translators. Like when we have an earbud in our ears that's translating everything in real time, it's going to be crazy. As that already exists, right?
It does.
Yeah. So that's nuts.
The avatar thing, it's like, I really need to get one.
If you're up for it, we should do like a combined thing I was going to do it with GLI, since you can use their boardroom and they have like some tertiary rooms too. And I didn't know if I want to do it with them or do it with that leadership group.
Leadership Louisville?
No, the Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it was like a training with the leadership groups and stuff, like where you come to this meeting, you get recorded and you get your audio, you get your video.
That's cool.
And you train them on it. That could be something.
That's cool.
And I didn't want to do that myself.
So when it comes to the digital avatars, we are still in a stage where it can seem human-like, but not completely convincing all the time, in the sense of like you can tell that you're looking at an AI that's speaking. And for a lot of people, this evokes the kind of whole uncanny valley feeling of it's somewhat familiar, but it's still just not quite replicating like an actual human. You can tell almost like creepily, it's like, oh, it's a little robotic. So could you speak to that issue right now with avatars and kind of just how it could be a little off-puttingly strange for some people in the sense of uncanny valley?
Yeah, that's such a cool term for me. because it goes, it doesn't go against, it goes parallel, or you got to test it with the fact that people want to hear back from you right away too. And so I've been doing tests with, like real estate agents where like they fill out a form on Google or Realtor or Zillow or whatever it is. And like people kind of want to be like, how soon can I get into that house and tour it? And so the real estate agents back in the day in 2024, they had to, get on their texts, get on their phones and call people, and being able to send an automated video that is your image and likeness, your voice is kind of a benefit, even though people do think it's fake, and they can record like, oh yeah, I do want to come by at 4 p.m. or whatever. And we'll see. Yeah, we'll get right back at you. The real me will get back to you. There's benefit to that, but there is a discomfort. Will be plenty of people well behind the curve that will want to only interact with somebody in 2030 that, is this, but it's going to be insane with what everything goes out. But that's an excellent thing to think about with who your consumer is as you are doing all these things. Yeah.
So I know we're talking about avatars, and some listening to this call may be like, hey, I'm still far out from implementing my own avatar. What do you see business owners kind of flocking to first when it comes to the AI tools you've tested and used, or maybe you just say, hey, do this based on a business, but what do you see them?
Yeah, the biggest things right now that I've talked about video before, that's the easiest thing because everyone knows that you got to be on YouTube, but then also the transcripts and audio that come from the video can also help you with all of the AI algorithms and curation of that content and results and stuff. But I would say the AI assistants, just being able to build and take, like if you have HR documents or training platform and all of these things that employees are not going to read. Maybe it's a handbook, or something. Like I think all of that, and I think all the AI assistants call it a knowledge base of like being able to put that information on the back end, and then having that AI assistant, which is already knowledgeable with everything that OpenAI and others are building into it. Having that specific knowledge base that people can say, hey, you pull that answer first from that knowledge base so that my employee knows right away. That is the reason why I think one of the most interesting facts or interesting outlooks that I've heard recently is that there will not be any entry-level positions in certain industries.
Like what industries? Like
I would say marketing.
Marketing?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
it's
that
like
makes sense.
If you got someone, especially like someone who's young, someone who's 22 who has already been on TikTok, for, years and years and doing all this stuff. And it's like, they are tech savvy enough to know that I can use this AI assistant to figure out what I need to do at this company. That blew my mind. I was like, oh crap, just thinking how green I was coming out of college and stuff and all the things I needed. I was like, if I didn't have to go bug, my content coach or my writing coach at that time, I was like, that's less hassle for him or her. It's better for me so that I can do it 24/7 and be more up to speed and be more valuable as an employee. So
here's my 2 cents though in that, or not pushback. Do you see a lot of 21, 22-year-olds coming out of college that are recognizing and taking that initiative? Yeah. I think that it's still, yes, it's out there for you to use, but if they aren't actually applying it to their career path or their own knowledge base and experience, they're going to be outperformed by others that are. Yeah. That is scary to think about because I think there's a lack of initiative and resourcefulness from the younger generation. They are more tech savvy. I agree. And there's so much that I learn every day from that generation. I think the big piece or gap that I see is that initiative, like actually going and doing it and applying it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you have all the tools.
Well, that might actually go along the lines of like, part of my dream is like, can I create a AI marketing university for younger people or people transitioning through all the certification programs that are available and like provide that coaching and stuff. But like someone said to me, because I said to him, he's on a board at a local university. And I was like, I don't think if my daughters want to go into marketing like me, I don't think they need to go to college.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, here's a counterpoint to that is like that growth and that experience that you get being out on your own and having those experiences, that's highly valuable. But
how much are you willing to pay for that?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go into 6 figures in debt?
Exactly.
Because millennials aren't going to be able to pay for college like the baby boomers did,
No, so. Exactly. I completely agree with you. I mean, a lot of universities just started teaching digital marketing a few years ago. And when I started Guardian Out, I I mean, it was all self-taught.
Yeah.
It was all from Google certification schools, right? I mean, Meta doesn't, I mean, they rolled something out later, but it still back in 2013, there was nothing. So in colleges, and that's an interesting take. I certainly can see that.
Yeah.
It's more vocational.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as AI in video production goes, one of the big issues that have been raised in the past few years is the idea of watermarking AI content and saying this was made by AI. What impact do you think watermarking could have on either the effectiveness, either negative or positive, of marketing content that AI was involved in creating?
Yeah, that's a great question because that was one of the biggest thing I was worried about is like not only the security side of it, but like just the transparency of it. I have a dorky whiteboard at home above my desk that was like, how do I develop a template or like standard transparency statements, whether it's a blog, a video, audio, whatever it is, that allows people to do that? Because I think there's one of the biggest benefits is like having that AI educational material behind, the public facing stuff that brings the value and causes people to be like, oh, I want to subscribe to this. So like, I think we're going to see that. I think the more valuable stuff or getting people in the door will be the human side of it. And then the AI will take over from the back end to provide that additional value. But I sort of abide by, I was just looking at, a couple of weeks and months ago, I was looking at Google had a standard in like 2023 of, we don't care if it's AI or it's human generated content. We just care if it's good.
Ooh.
And I'm just like, that's where I'm coming from, whether it's watermarked or not. But you're right. I mean, I almost would prefer as like a little symbol, or it's like a different version of your logo or something that causes people to do that. I've even been thinking about that for years about political advertising or content. I was like, what is verified? What's not? So like there's got to be something like that that's there to educate people and make sure that they're getting the right information. That's a wonderful concept that, I think will continue to evolve.
Well, speaking of the right information, you mentioned the informant. If I'm a business owner and let's say I have 30 minutes a week to actually educate myself, and I mean, I'm already listening to the Go AI podcast, where am I going if I have 30 minutes to basically see the top AI trends and how it's going to affect me and what do I need to know? Is there a publication, a video series, audio? Like where are you going?
That's awesome. Well, honestly, I was just it's the informant or the neuron for me, because I want to keep it as simple as possible for me.
Okay.
And I think they do a great job. But what interests me the most as far as the curation of the content of it is like, and this also goes with what happens as marketers or what do we do, or it's movie theaters or movie producers and things, production studios, like what happens when the user can create whatever content they want to watch. Like, it's insane to think about that. Like, what do we do then? So like someone was like, if that is something that was like, I want to watch a mystery film about this, this, and this, and it creates it in 30 seconds or whatever. And they were talking about how like, you got to start building your audience now so that you can be part of that conversation, or you are building the back end that allows that if they take a shirt from your Shopify store or something, like they're able to shop and buy that shirt in the video that they're watching. It's like,
love it.
So it's like, how can you just develop that as like, for me, it's like, I never want to create another website because websites are just a content hub for AI. And like, that's the craziest thing for me when someone talked to me about shoppable video, 5 years ago. And I'm just like, yeah, you're going to pause Netflix and, eventually just be able to buy whatever's on screen. And I'm sure by the time this comes out, that's possible.
And you can kind of do it now when you take a picture and then you can scroll up and be like, okay, I want that plant.
Exactly.
In the picture.
Yeah. So as people are familiar with tapping their photo or video on Instagram and being able to buy the products, like it's just going to be people who are used to that are going to be able to do it. So
I would say that's a major key takeaway for business owners listening is just AI will make media more interactive. I mean, whether it's buying, purchasing things within content, or even just shaping it yourself. That's something that most people are going to need to see as kind of the next wave of media is interactive and shapeable by the audience.
And
that personalization.
Yeah. And how much my 5-year-old gets ticked off at a pre-roll advertisement. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Oh my goodness.
And like, there's a whole generation not just hers, I mean, like the whole, 10 years and teenagers now that are going to be just frustrated with that kind of experience. So how we ever can build that into existing stuff or things that they like the most is going to be the most critical thing.
What is your 5-year-old daughter?
Mm-hmm.
What does she think about AI? If we asked her, what do you think AI is? What do you think she'd say?
She'd probably think like, that's why my dad's in the basement working all the time.
Okay.
That's probably it.
So no, there's no, because obviously it's like she can recognize, I don't want to watch this, but she doesn't recognize probably yet AI.
She's been my focus group a lot.
Oh,
like, why
that.
did you pick that thumbnail?
Exactly.
Oh yeah. That's so interesting to me. I was like, and she knows how to, search with voice. And I'm like, you know what? Like, that's why daddy does podcasting or he does video, because your natural language search is more powerful than what you're typing in some cases. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I hope that she catches on to that eventually and like realizes like, oh, that's why dad was asking me those questions.
Yep. And I mean, I think that they're going to be just not eager, but it's going to come natural picking up, AI tools and I mean, for us, I remember when there was no internet. So it's like all of this is such like a learning journey. And for them, I mean, I watch the 5-year-olds on the iPad and I'm like, can I hire you? Like, can you do that? You're so efficient. So that's cool that you're using her as a little usability.
Efficient
test.
And impatient.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I actually got a message the other day. I knew immediately when I got the second message from this guy on LinkedIn, I was like, this is an AI automation. It didn't fully read the context of what I was asking it. I had 2 separate questions. So it was like, those are the things that keep me up at night. I was like, how is my automation? How are the messages and content I'm putting out there actually going to work and actually present itself as legit, make somebody want to actually take action on something? So I was like, when I get those kind of notes, I was like, it takes me a step back and be like, I can't rush this process.
It's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And certainly within marketing and client relations, it would probably be unwise to automate just everything, right? So what aspects of, we can just stay within marketing, should always have a human touch within it?
That's a great point.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I always bring this up because it's always in my nature of, I still literally every morning, I balance my checkbook. No matter all of my online accounts and everything, I still balance my checkbook because it's in me to question the technology.
You do this every morning?
Every morning, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. No, I know my wife's laughing her ass off right now. Because I literally do.
It's out in the world, Amanda. It's out there now.
She has her voice like, you balancing right now? Like, yeah.
That wasn't her voice. Her voice is kinder and nicer.
That was her voice making fun of me.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like that's helped me personally I have a check every time. Whether it's like, this is the email that's going to go out or this is the direct message that's going to go out. For me, it's a multi-step process. And I think that's the hardest thing for anybody to get over from an AI standpoint is like, you're integrating so much. And I don't think a lot of people, they just want to stay in their lane. Like, I just want to do email marketing or I just want to do this. I think it's hard for people to really go after the full integrated side of it.
Well, the game has changed.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I mean, you can do that, but you're just not going to be successful 5 years from now. Yeah. So I mean, the people that are willing, like you, to go out there and test and again, be the practitioner, you are going to have clients and continue to grow your career versus, hey, nope, I'm okay with doing things the way I always have. And AI is just going to blow past you.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So Todd, obviously, we're so excited that you're here and you're introducing MercenaryMarketing.ai to the world. So anything that you want to tell the audience just about Mercenary Marketing, how to contact you, any notes that you'd like to give them?
Elevator pitch. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I love telling people that my company name is my domain, is my URL. So it's easy to find me, but I am essentially, we've talked about the small business side of it, the solopreneurs and everybody I want to help out. You have a budget, you feel like you can't do something that everyone else is doing, or you can't do something better. The reality is you can, and there are people out there that can help you do that. That is my side of things, that there's a lot of bullshit out there and we need to cut through that and provide better resources to people because, marketing is essential and always will be. So the better and the more transparent we can be to help people out, the better situation for all of us, especially from just a day-to-day standpoint.
I love it.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Again, Todd Krise, MercenaryMarketing.ai. And is there an email address, like an info at?
Yeah, you can email me directly at todd@MercenaryMarketing.ai.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you, Todd. Mm-hmm. This has been wonderful. Congratulations. I'm so excited. And thank you all for listening.
That was the real Todd, by the way. Not
this is the real Todd. Yeah. The real Todd. We'll make sure we notate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Todd. Thank you for listening to Go AI. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and review our podcast so we can continue to grow and offer more great AI content. If you're looking for digital marketing, digital transformation, or AI help, make sure you visit www.guardianowdigital.com. Have questions? Email team@guardianowdigital.com for answers. See you next time on Go AI.